Is Scott Bakula? Find out next.
Treksploration.
Hello and welcome back to Treksploration. I'm Albie.
And I'm Chris, and I am just busting to talk about this. I have to wait. I have to suit up.
Suit up. All right.
It's been a long road getting from there to here. I see what you did there.
Wow.
How's my NX01? Is my NX01 straight?
It's
My
great.
NX01 is showing.
So
Here we go.
everybody's talking about it, and so I figured we'd talk about it too. Let's start off with
We have to. We have to talk about this. I'm so excited.
the article. Archer. What is it? Archer Legacy?
No.
Archer United? Something?
It's Star Trek United.
Star Trek
maybe
United.
Maybe Star Trek United for anybody out there who maybe lives under a rock and hasn't heard already. We got a glimpse of an idea from an old writer producer on Enterprise. He's not old. I mean, he was on the old show Enterprise. When that 20 years ago now?
Yeah, about, yeah.
And 25? I don't even know.
Wow, 20.
But
I'd
Mike
say.
Sussman.
Let's go 20.
Mike Sussman.
Feels
writer
like 10.
producer Mike Sussman.
Mike Sussman. He's a good one.
Yeah. So he revealed that he had, with Scott Bakula, come up with an idea jokingly during the, I guess, the first season of Picard.
Right.
He said, hey, when are we going to see Star Trek Archer on Paramount Plus?
I think we all said that
And-
amongst ourselves too, didn't we?
Right?
Like,
You know,
that would be the
it's
dream.
funny. You'd think that because I was thinking, how are they going to bring Archer back? He's too old. It can't be like I keep thinking in terms of Enterprise Year 5 or whatever.
Right. They can't
You
do
know, and you can't do that. So anyway, he was talking with Scott, and when he was done joking, it actually hit him, or so he says in this article that was on Trek Movie. And I think he had revealed this during Star Trek Las Vegas last weekend as we record this. He had an idea based on the episode In a Mirror Darkly. So in A Mirror Darkly, we get onto the Defiant from the Tholian web, and it slips through a time rift. So it's from our universe, and the mirror universe version of Enterprise finds it. So we have evil Archer and evil Hoshi and evil Travis, I guess, right? We have Pirate Connor.
Sorry,
From your
I lost my
pirate
train
trip.
of thought after you said evil Hoshi.
The action figures coming soon.
Yes.
Yes. So as part of that episode, they created a couple of graphics that showed the future of different characters. As a matter of fact, you see how Hoshi dies.
Yeah, didn't we
in
just
the-
talk
in the
about
prime
that
timeline.
a few episodes
Yeah.
back? Yeah.
Yeah, so it was weird now that what Sussman said, he realized that they were putting so much in those graphics that he couldn't rely on the art department to make them. He wanted a writer to create them because they could be on screen, they could be seen, and if they were seen, they were going to be canon. Well, guess what? They were seen, and now they're canon. And part of Archer's biography, it says nothing about how he dies, but it does highlight his career up at the top. And sort of later in his career, it says that he's the president of the United Federation of Planets.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the idea that Sussman glommed onto. And I think actually he said that Scott glommed onto it. He said Scott really liked the idea of them doing a West Wing style
Yeah.
show where Archer is the president of the Federation.
Love it. I'm in. Take my money.
They're talking about like a political drama, an adult drama, something that can also be like a family drama. I'm not really sure how that would work for me. Okay. Where do you stand on like the Sorkin verse, West Wing stuff?
I have never watched it. It's on my list because everybody raves about it, and it seems like something I would love. So
See, I tried to watch one Aaron Sorkin show and it drove me up a wall, but it was the one about the journalism. It was on HBO, I think, and it had Jeff Daniels in it.
that sounds familiar.
It was
Well,
pretty
maybe you were
awful.
too close
And
to it
then-
because that's what you did in real life.
Yeah, I think that might be it. But then I tried to watch that Studio 360, which was basically his take on Saturday Night Live behind the scenes.
That'd be cool. I didn't hear
And
about that one.
It was unwatchable. It was terrible.
Okay. Well, maybe the West Wing's
anyway,
the outlier.
To me.
Yeah.
My friend Scott Madison loves the West Wing.
Okay.
And he loves, I think, a lot of Sorkin stuff. So Scott, this is not directed at you. It's just not my cup of tea. But if you put NX01
Yes.
in the mix, all of a sudden I'm pretty interested. So.
Yeah, if Bakula's number one on the call sheet, I'm watching it. Just saying.
Yeah. And if it's a continuation of Archer's story, that leads to so many possibilities of the Enterprise cast and crew coming back in different ways. So I love the idea. Sussman said that he liked it so much that he went and he had a meeting with the Paramount executives about it. It wasn't a full-blown pitch, but he just reviewed the idea with them. He let them know that Scott was on board. And he's enthused about the idea too. And, maybe we could see what develops. According to the article, again, we got all this from trekmovie.com. Trek Movie said that Sussman said that he heard back from the executives a few weeks later. And because of competing properties, mostly Starfleet Academy, which is also going to take place on Earth, they decided they would be too similar. So they said, now's not the time for it. Essentially as a polite, no thanks.
Yeah.
And Albie, you and I know what that means. It means they're not interested.
Right.
And that normally in Hollywood would be the end of it. However, Paramount just merged with Skydance. Skydance is now in charge. There's a whole new regime over there. So the people that he originally discussed the idea with are no longer there. The people who have taken over have once again said they're committed to creating thoughtful, compelling, original programming to get onto P Plus so that they can make it a streaming service that can compete with the likes of Amazon, Netflix, that kind of thing. And they know that they have to have compelling programming in order to do that. Why wouldn't Star Trek be a good fit for them to take a chance, right? So that's kind of where it was left, I believe, the last I looked. Now, a new article just came out because Star Trek Las Vegas also had a last-minute addition to its roster of guests.
If we knew that, we might have made it work this year.
We might have ambushed Scott for like the fourth time
and
in 3
he'd be
years.
Like, aren't you tired of us again? Still yet? More? No.
So
Yes.
Scott was on stage at Star Trek Las Vegas,
All right.
and apparently somebody asked him about it. Now, the thing that I heard was, I think it was Trek Culture.
Trek Culture. Quoted
Said that
Ellie from Trek Culture filling in for
Ellie
Sean.
said that Scott said you never know, and that was it.
Right.
But there seems to be an entire article on Trek Movie.
Ooh, is this an update?
Again, a new one.
And also,
I
we
don't know if
have
it's an
some
update
inside
or-
information, so we'll get to that also.
So I'm gonna read because that's
All right.
great podcasting. Okay.
This is brand new
At one
information.
point, the actor took. Yeah, but so I'm reading from Trek
Okay.
Movie, so they can sue us. But at one point, the actor took a fan question about where he would have liked to go with Archer had Enterprise not been canceled in its fourth season, and he also, if he'd also talk about the United pitch. It's easy for me to say. That's Star Trek United. That's what he wanted to call the show.
All
That's
right.
what we said up front. So, yeah. And this is Scott. This is a quote from Scott. Quote, because we were being canceled and there was a good chance we would have been canceled after 3 seasons if Paramount Television president Gary Hart hadn't kind of gone to the mat for us. So we got an extra season 4 to kind of complete the whole Xindi thing, which thank goodness we did, because I thought that was pretty amazing television. I love that, and it really was great writing. And man, we had some good actors come on all the time on that show. I didn't recognize half of them due to alien makeup. I got to take my glasses off. I can't read with my glasses on. Isn't that weird?
Odd.
Alien makeup. So we crushed the ending of the show to wrap things up. But I think the goal was for that to happen more slowly and for Archer to kind of start forming the bones of the Federation. I think that would have been really, really exciting to do. So I'm sorry we didn't get really kind of lean into that. And then he talked a little bit about United, saying there's nothing I'm going to say about United at this point. There's a great writer, Mike Sussman, and I have had conversations about the possibility. I'm just going to say, and we will close on that. You never know.
Okay.
So there we go. So that's what Scott said just this past weekend about it. apparently, he's fully aware of the prospect, and I'm guessing that's just something that he is open to. Now, Albie has a big scoop here. Albie has a little bit more.
You may know Chris and I come from the Quantum Leap podcast, so we're very familiar with Scotty Bax, Mr. Scott Bakula. We just call him Scott in the group chat. But so as soon as I read this first article, not the follow up, I messaged J.D. Schwartz, Scott's manager, representative, PR guy, his agent. And I said, what can you tell me about this, And he said, I have no idea what you're talking about. And then I sent him the link, and I'm thinking, what? Sometimes he plays coy. And I sent him the link, and about 2 minutes later, he said, neither I nor Scott know anything about this.
So you got the classic change.
Yeah, so, and with him, like, that's the same question, answer I got about, is Scott going to be on Only Murders in the Building?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So
exactly.
So if it's a yes, he says no. If it's a no, he says we're not doing that. So
yeah.
I think it kind of all gels together with what we're hearing officially. Like, they're in talks, and maybe depending on which way Paramount CBS swings with Star Trek.
Yeah, exactly. And I think also it's just like, they also want to have Scott get his payday and all that stuff.
Yeah. So if they're giving $1.5 billion to South Park, how much is Cartman making? I mean, they can pay Scott Bakula half the amount they pay Cartman, and we got a series. You know what I mean?
I think you're right. I think
wasn't Enterprise down to 700,000 an episode or something at one point?
I have no idea. I didn't keep track of that
final
kind of
season.
Stuff back then.
So
it wasn't I just kind of watched it. I really wasn't even watching Enterprise when it got canceled. I think I saw a few episodes because the fourth season was so TOS heavy. So I probably did have some renewed interest. But
if they're talking billions, I mean, what else does Paramount have? They have their back library of films. But IP wise, they got South Park and they got Star Trek.
They got Top Gun.
That's 3 movies.
They're doing a lot of Top Gun.
Yeah,
they can do a Top Gun series, I guess.
They could. Risky business series.
Mission Impossible, I think, is on Paramount Plus. So all that, but that's ending now with the last what is it, Ghost Protocol or whatever the heck.
Yeah, we saw that. It's
the final movie's called. Yeah,
pretty good.
So, but regardless, I mean, Star Trek is still a heavy hitting franchise for them. We're still guaranteed, I think, 2 seasons of Starfleet Academy,
and we got
Scuttlebutt's been
got the back half of Strange New Worlds, and another season and then a half season. So
right. So basically, 2 seasons of Strange New Worlds left. If you combine the rest of this season with the half season that they're going to get after next season, that's not confusing at all.
And if you combine all of them, it's one classic season.
Right, exactly.
But over 7 years. Okay, we'll take it.
But yeah, I mean, I can see this because Scott has had nothing but success as a leading man in TV. I mean, starting with Quantum Leap, I guess maybe Eisenhower and Lutz was a little bit of an outlier, right? He wasn't like The World on Fire with the sitcoms, but once Quantum Leap cemented him in the hour-long TV format, he did become a leading man, and he's worked steadily as a leading man since. We had Quantum, we had Star Trek, then he was on NCIS. And I think the powers that be behind NCIS are the same powers that be are now with Paramount and Skydance. So he's already part of the team, and he's already a known commodity. So, and I think that there's a better than okay chance that this might kind of happen, sort of somehow.
And also, I think I know we're all in our own bubbles, but at least my bubble blew up when this article dropped. It was everywhere, and everybody was talking about Archer.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, I'm looking ahead to if I can wind down with my work. I work crazy hours.
Yeah.
And I said maybe in a few years I'll be able to pull back a little bit. What do I want to do? I really want to start writing tie-in fiction again. And the immediate thought I have was I want to write an Enterprise novel. So I started to read a lot of the Enterprise novels. I'm still in the middle of reading a few of them, and I found a couple more on my last vacation. So I'm really throwing myself whole hog into how they serialized Enterprise after the series was over in the novel program. And even reading some of the standalone ones that I can find that came before. Hey, looks like we're being joined.
Hey, Jesse signing on. Cool.
Hey, Jessie.
Hey, hello.
How you doing?
Hi,
Jesse.
Sorry.
I'll just ask you, hey, Jesse, before we end this is just a 10-minute record we're doing while we're waiting. Your thoughts on Archer United or Star Trek United?
Oh, yeah. I actually really, really love it. So I think of the 3 shows that I've heard kind of be pitched right now, which are Star Trek Year 1, which is Akiva Goldsman sort of like wants to redo the first year of TOS, Star Trek Legacy, and Star Trek United. I think United is the best one, particularly because it is the one that feels the most different and not like it's just redoing the same things. It's not like just Kirk on the Enterprise. It's not characters from like old shows like 7 of 9 doing the same thing that like on the bridge of an Enterprise. It's like actually going in a new direction with these characters. So yes, it does have that thing of focusing on nostalgia and like an older character from an older show coming back, which I wish Star Trek would really kind of get away from. It keeps kind of looking back when it should be looking forward. But it is at least doing something new and different. And then personally, also, I have always wanted a sort of like political style Star Trek show. Like I've always wanted something like that. So I adore it. And if it does actually happen, it will be my dream job to direct an episode of that show because it is everything.
Wow,
it really,
that'd be great.
like quite literally, like, it is the show that I always kind of wanted Star Trek to do. My only hesitation on it in any way, shape, or form is just the like, oh, we're gonna do it with a character from an older series. Which, like, as someone who loved Star Trek Enterprise a lot, I love my Captain Archer. I'm here for Himbo Captain. But I just feel like Star Trek has been getting too mired in prequels as of late. So that's the one hesitation I have.
Well, it's just to complete the thought that I was in the middle of Albie when Jessie popped on. That dream job thing, I look to see, okay, are they still doing Enterprise novels? They're not. I mean, they pretty much ended years ago. They haven't put them out for almost a decade. And when the Archer thing came up, the United idea came up, I was like, yes, maybe there's a chance if this thing does go through that I can write something that's at least somewhat Enterprise based, which would be nice. So Jessie will direct the episode. I'll do the novelization, and then I'll also do some original stories based on the show. I don't know. I don't know.
That's
I've had a
Chris's claim
pitch.
to fame, tie-in novels.
Yeah, I mean, I
No, tie-in novel.
Okay, one Quantum Leap tie-in novel, but still.
it's more than the rest of us have got. But
so I think I'm just so intrigued.
I've been wanting to pitch Heather Antos over at IDW. I have a Star Trek Enterprise comic idea that I want to pitch at some point in the future. We'll see if that actually still can happen, but it's an idea I've always wanted to do. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I think the one thing that made me even more jazzed about the idea of Star Trek United was the fact that they said, look, if you don't want it set on Earth, if it's going to conflict with Starfleet Academy, too samey, let's do it on the planet Babel. Or Babel. How do you say it?
Babel.
I always say Babel. Journey to Babel.
I think it's Babel. I think it's Babel.
I always said Babelfish too, but I think Adams pronounced it Babelfish. So but we all know what we're talking about. And I think that would be a very interesting idea because that would give it, I think, more of like a DS9 vibe.
Yeah, or Babylon
aliens
5.
all over the place. Or, B5, yeah.
So Babylon 6, I'll take it.
I'm on board with that too. If you give me Archer in more of a DS9 setting. And I think that would give it more of the sci-fi component because, again, it's going to be a tough sell for me to watch a show that's based on like political machinations. Like I want Star Trek in my Star Trek. I don't want West Wing in my Star Trek.
Oh, see, I actually
this is how I get Archer back.
See, I actually have always wanted that show, mostly because like I can't watch The West Wing right now anymore. Like I've caught it here and there, but I never like watched it all the way through. Mainly because, I mean, there's a bunch of problems with it, but it has this like optimism in the system of the American system that like I have not had for a while, especially right now, considering the world at the moment.
Yeah.
We can see how a lot of that like view of like, oh, the system's always good. The marketplace of ideas will always work out because other people will listen to you instead of like great disinformation. And like, the system is ultimately always here to uplift, even, social justice will always like inevitably arc towards, justice or whatever. like that stuff is, I think we can kind of see through a lot of that like idea. But Star Trek in many ways is kind of supposed to be the optimistic version of that, like where the system actually does work. And I think like showcasing it at the time of when Archer takes over is actually a really cool way to do it, because you can get the very flawed Federation kind of figuring it out and like having to deal with more political stuff. Like, I don't know if you've ever read, speaking of tie-in novels, Una McCormick's stuff, who's one of my favorite Star Trek novelists out there. She's so, in fact, I think one of my favorite Star Trek writers, period. And she has this really great book called The Last Best Hope. It's a prequel to season 1 of Star Trek Picard, which very much gets into how the political stuff around that era caused the Federation to become more hawkish and much more insular that we see at the start of that series. And it gets into like some of the outer rim planets of Star Trek's Federation kind of feeling like, hey, we don't get as much, help as Earth does or Vulcan does. And like, there's an interesting political stuff that I think you could do and actually, heighten it a little bit more, because it's an early Federation with Archer. So I actually think like a West Wing in Star Trek show would work much better in Star Trek than even the West Wing would.
And I have to say, I could see also a good character arc with Archer, because towards the end of Enterprise, he was such a completely different dude. Mm-hmm. He was much more cynical. He was much more damaged. He was much more jaded. I can't imagine that the Romulan Wars would have improved upon that. Mm-hmm. So it might be nice to see like curmudgeon old Archer learning to hope again or something like that. I know that sounds cliche and maudlin, but but you could make that work. Like, cliche doesn't necessarily mean bad if you put a spin on it. Like, it's a decent character arc, and you can showcase, and especially if you do it through politics, because politics is supposed to be the place where everyone's supposed to be cynical and jaded, right? That sort of Veep mentality, and in like being like, no, we can actually make this work. I think is and do it hopefully like that. Actually, I mean, honestly, that might be a show that meets the moment, right? Like where everyone's kind of cynical and the gut. Like even I just said, I don't really believe in the system or whatnot. So like it might be a show that can meet that moment. The danger would be to end up being a little bit jingoistic, rah America in a way that doesn't meet the moment. But I think there's a way you could thread that needle really well. So. Well, I think that's also an opportunity for Star Trek to branch out, because Star Trek has always been very America-centric, very United States-centric, really.
Yes, yeah.
So
luckily, lately it's evolving, and not as much.
Yes, a little bit more worldly. But even the first season of Strange New Worlds, they were talking about the Civil War that just became the Third World War, and it's really an American story, So, but. I'm just thrilled that this has become a possibility. I never would have thought of this idea. And the fact that now we're discussing this and thinking of different ways they could go, there's a lot of meat on this bone. Yeah. And to get Archer back and to do something with some of the legacy characters of Enterprise, I would love.
Yeah.
I would love.
I always had a pitch. Like I said, I had a pitch of a Star Trek show like this set after basically where they would do Legacy, right? Which was you deal with like the Borg are gone, and like you'd have to go out and deal with all of these political issues and sort of have like a new Federation. My pitch was always this: you do it as like a West Wing, where it's the first day of of a new Federation president getting elected, right? They just got elected. They are stepping into the role, and then the first episode is just like some hectic thing happens, like. Just think like the Romulan supernova goes off and they have to deal with like all the Romulan refugees, all that stuff. So something like that. And the whole episode, since the first day as Federation president, someone keeps saying like, hey, I know you're dealing with this thing, but you're supposed to go get your doctor's appointment. Like you need to do your checkup to like, that's part of the ritual of like getting sworn in as president. You go to the doctor and, have your first checkup so that you can say your bill of health. So someone keeps bugging them the whole time. And at the end of the episode, they finally deal with this situation. They're tired. They in the whatever Oval Office equivalent is, and then someone comes in and says, you never came in for your checkup, and it turns out it's Dr. Bashir. And then the reveal is that Dr. Bashir says, I'm actually not your doctor, like I am technically your doctor, but what I am is your Section 31 liaison, and if you had come to me, I would have helped you at some point to do Section 31 stuff to help you with the situation. And then the president's like, absolutely not. Section 31 is horrible. I'm never working with you, leaves. And then Bashir calls someone up. You wouldn't get revealed in the first episode. It would be Garrick. But he's like, oh, I think this president might actually help us take Section 31 down. And like the arc of the first season of the show would be them taking down Section 31 from the inside.
Oh, there you go. Retconning Section 31 out of existence. I like it. Yeah. Well, hey, again, there's so many possibilities.
And I think that's something that a lot of us are excited about in more ways than one. Thank you, Jessie, for joining us on this little impromptu discussion of Star Trek United with our friend Scotty Bax. Hopefully, one day. We'll see.
Scotty Bax.
And if you want more...
Scott, do it. Do it for us, Scott.
If you want more Jessie Gender on Treksploration, check out the episode we're recording next, which should drop tomorrow as you're watching this. And it is about Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Season 3, Episode 6, The Sailot Who Ate Its Tail. For Treksploration, I'm Albie.
I'm Chris.
I'm Jessie.
And this was a special report. We'll see you next time.